gentlemen, welcome. Calling to order a special council meeting of the Jackson City Council here in at the offices of CMPDD, July 25th, 2024, and it is 9:12 a.m. Today, this is really almost like a work session. We do not have any voting items on the agenda. We are going to look at the redistricting lines one final time, and I just want to remind everybody with my conversations with CMPDD, this is it. I mean, this is the last time that we really can come together and think about this with this technology and this level of detail. We certainly, can continue to have conversations, and then there will be an ordinance that will be developed by City Attorney's Office, working with Public Works, because they have to provide the ordinance. So this will take a minute, and then my goal and what I'm optimistic about and what I hope will happen today is that we will leave here with one option that will then be translated into an ordinance. So with that, I think it would really be in our best interest to just go ahead and get CMPDD to explain to us, the laws that govern redistricting and what our real purpose is here today and what our goal needs to be. And so with that, and everybody who's going to talk, please state your names.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you. I am Gray Oots with Central Mississippi Planning and Development District. I am a principal planner here and have been assisting the city, and we are appreciative for this opportunity to work with you on this very important project. So just to give you the overview and background, redistricting is required, and the number one priority in this is the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And that's ensuring that one man, one vote. We have the ideal population. You take the 2020 census population of the city, divide it 7 ways, and you have an ideal population of 21,957 people per ward. We are allowed 10%, a deviation of 10% from that number. And what that means is the most populated ward and the least populated ward cannot exceed 10% from each other. So you'll see that on the software as we work through it. We also are focusing on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and maintaining fair and equal representation for all minority groups and representatives in the community. So those are the two main legal drivers behind redistricting and the reason why. Following the 2020 census, the city's plan, your existing wards, were 28% deviation from top to bottom. The highest populated ward to the lowest populated ward was 28%. Therefore, you were out of compliance with the 10%, and that brings us to where we are today. So I'm going to sit and help guide and assist Tony. We've given you each your laser pointers. We'll ask that Council President, you just tell us where you would like for us to start, and as we have in the previous 2 meetings, we're going to follow your lead. Y'all direct us, and we will let you know what can and can't be done if it's with compliance or not. So we've got existing and then the 4 previous plans that have been drawn. So you just tell us where you want to start.
Thank you so much. And just as a reminder, Ms. Jordan reminded me this morning, there are mics all over this room. The entire room is locked. So even in the audience, if you say something out loud, chances are it's going to be picked up. So just as that friendly reminder. Since we had this last meeting, we have had a change in the council leadership, and so I think it is really important. Mr. Brazell is now the vice president, and I'm now the president, and I think it is important head around this. I think it would be really important to ask the previous president, Mr. Banks, if he could just briefly give us a quick timeline that has brought us to this place today. Mr. Banks?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning to everybody. So this, for us, started in December of 22. In December of 2022, toward the end, we had just left a winter conference, and during that winter conference, one of the things that was done is the MML provided a session. I believe that CMPDD did also, along with Mississippi State University and Butler Snow. And during that, they were talking about redistricting because at this time they were preparing for the county election. And the county had an opportunity to do their redistricting along with the state, et cetera. After that, there was a handout. March of 23, I handed that handout to council members before a meeting, and it was also on the agenda so that we can discuss. We have put that on the agenda for public discussion approximately 8 times for us to discuss, to try to see why we were asking at that time the previous city attorney, Katoria Martin, for advice on how we should proceed. At that time, there was confusion on whose duty it was to proceed with executing whatever agreements needed to be executed for us to move forward. We were, I think, all eager at that time to try to get Carol Rose, but there was some conflict that he had legally and was not able to do it at that time. Moving along, as that happened, and we continued to inquire, City Attorney Drew Martin becomes city attorney. We began to press the issue a little harder, and we also began to pull up several laws and also asked the clerk to pull up how this was done in the past so that we can have some guidance on how to proceed. After that, I met with the mayor. The mayor also explained and verified that there was a conflict with Carol Rose, and we decided to proceed. The difference was, instead of doing what the city has always done in the past, what the city of Jackson has done in the past, and I think what most municipalities do now, is that they hire 2 or 3 mediators or consultants along with CMPDD or whatever their planning district is to walk them through this process. And so as I began to look at those ordinances, one of them I looked at in the past, you had Derek Johnson, you had another law firm, you had maybe 2 other law firms. And what has happened is these meetings were never open. They were never open to the public. They would meet with those mediators behind closed doors, and they would present options to the council. The council would discuss it behind closed doors, and they will vote. One of the things that we decided, as talking with colleagues and Vice President Lee, was that we wanted to, one, try to identify savings for the city, because with all that we have going on, we do not have the money to throw $40,000 apiece to 2 or 3 mediators, plus also secure CMPDD. So the decision was to cut the middle people out and to see if we can, as representatives for the people in our districts, work together to do this process that is required by law. And so what we did was very different. What we did was, after securing CMPDD, we had all of our meetings here that were open to the public, that were noticed in a timely manner, so that we could have community input as we went through this process. After doing that twice, there was some disagreement. And then in that disagreement, we decided to do a public hearing. That public hearing was held at City Hall. Groups, constituents had the opportunity to stress their grievances. But we also did, and I want to thank at this time the clerk of council and the council's clerk of council staff, because they spent the time to take all 4 maps and to put a very involved process out publicly for suggestions and feedback. There was a worksheet for people to fill back, and I think today all we got back was around 9. All we got back was 9. So there was a process that was out there. One of the things was, in spite of the complaints, nobody took the time to give any input other than the 9 people that responded to the hard work of this body and council and what we tried to do, which would be present a cost savings for the city of Jackson. After hearing that, of course, my time was ending as president, and we began to find out that we were really running against the clock. After talking to and having conversations with the municipal clerk and with the circuit clerk, Zach Wallace, we found out that in October that the SIM system for the state of Mississippi will be shut down. They have to shut it down to prepare for the November elections, come up to do purging, et cetera, all of the things that they do in that process. We then also find out that there were several contracts that we have to secure. One, we have to secure a contract with Zach Wallace. That contract with Zach Wallace is for him to go out and verify the addresses of where any change may be. For example, Mr. Griselle has Timberlawn, that's correct, Timberlawn, and let's say that Peggy Hobson Capital System Center, which is in Willowwood, let's say the lines change. Well, if there's 1,000 people affected, Mr. Zach Wallace and his staff will be responsible for going to every door to door, to verify that person with that address. And he would have to do that across the city. So he would need time to do that. And he pleaded with us to try to get this done as soon as possible. The second contract that we would have to do would have to be with the engineering firm. And that engineering firm would have to go through and logistically make sure that our maps are what they need to be so that they can be published, et cetera. And so as we begin to find out that time was not on our side, under the leadership of President Lindsay, we are where we are now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. That was very thorough and very helpful, and that's a good refresher on how we are and got to where we are today. Another reason why we needed to gather this final time is that when we had our last meeting, we left here with 4 options. And in discussing those 4 options with colleagues, and it became clear that we did not have 4 votes for any one of those options. So we needed to come back together and see if we can't all agree on one option that will then be converted into the ordinance, as I stated. All right, so with that, colleagues, I'm going to move now to the discussion item, which is redistricting the city of Jackson. Colleagues, what I would like to do, this is how I would like to do it. We have on the board option 3, right?
This is 2.
We want to get option 3.
Madam,
Yes, sir, Mr. Hartley.
During one of our recent meetings, we had talked, I think in length concerning having a mediator
Yes.
involved.
Thank you for that.
And I just wanted to see if, because I don't think it was taken off the table. And now we are seeing that today's meetings will result in only one option, and there's no discussion of the mediator to where we can go in and try to have
Yeah,
some.
it will, I appreciate that reminder, it was on the notes, and I failed to mention it. Mr. Stokes and I both were working on that effort, and what we realized is that we, after I talked to 2 different people, and neither one of them could do it. And we are under such a time crunch with this, Mr. Hartley, that I asked essentially CMPD to do what the mediator would have done today, and that was to explain the law and to keep us on track. But sadly, we just don't have the luxury of time today to try to find another mediator there were, you know, I think the fact that we were late trying to find somebody, other than Mr. Rhodes, nobody's schedule worked out well, but then also, we're just so far down in this process now that it would be difficult for a mediator to step in at this point. So, frankly, no one is voting. All right, so that's where we are on that. So what I would like to do, colleagues, is just start with Ward 1 and go down the line and ask you all if there are any lines you would like to change. And the reason I wanted to start with option 3 is because in hearing your comments and talking to all of you, I think this is the option that is probably the best canvas, where there may be the least amount of concern. And so this is the option we're going to start with, but of course, if y'all want to go back to another option, we certainly can. So with that, Mr. Foote, I would like for you to start and see if there are any changes you would like to make to your minds.
We're gonna make a copy to Plan 3 quickly so that we have, we reserve Plan
Thank you.
3.
Is
And
Plan
we'll
3,
create-
was one of these Plan 3?
Yes,
Okay, plan one's the
It's
only one
this, so
that's
the
not-
map you've got up there would be the same as the map down here?
Yes.
Okay,
we're gonna preserve that electronically,
sure.
so give us just a second.
Okay. So, but the one up on the screen is Plan 3 as well?
Yes.
Okay, let me make a couple of comments. My notes I made prior to getting this process started, I used Post-it notes on the existing map. And I showed that, as I understood it, that Ward 1 was the most, highest population, so we had to shed, we were 15% over the new Optima of 21,957. So we had to find a way to shrink the boundaries to lose 3,384, around about that, citizens, which is no fun doing that. So if I understand this correctly, the purple lines are the old boundaries and the colors are what the plan instigates or what implies. And I think pretty much, the sad thing about Ward 1 is one boundary, there's 3 primary boundaries. One is the Pearl River, which you can't change. One is County Line Road, which you can't change. And then the other is I-55, more or less, with variations along I-55. So we had to shrink 3,000 people from the previous boundaries. And I think this is probably the fairest way to do it for the Ward 1 participant. My goal is to do it in an orderly manner to benefit the citizens and neighborhoods in Ward 1. And so here we cut off the part of Ward 1 that stuck out from along Northside Drive down to Meadowbrook, Northside Drive down to North State and down and back to Meadowbrook, and turn that over to one of the other wards. And then we came down into across I-55 on Ridgewood Road and came down to, is that Canton Mark Road, or is that where the blue line is? What's the?
Go up to where Ward 2, Ward 1.
Yeah, so it's
It's the creek. I believe.
below Old Canton Road.
Yeah, I think that's a creek there.
Yeah, there's a creek there where it has the Canton Marsh Shopping Center.
Yes.
And that's, much as I hate to give that up, it's necessary in order to meet the legal boundaries. So that I think works for Ward 1, for us.
Okay. So no
Maintaining
changes,
the
Mr. Foote?
coherence of the neighborhoods within Ward 1.
Thank you. So no changes.
I'm okay with that particular arrangement
Thank you, Mr. Foote.
for Ward 1.
Okay, Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Council President. After speaking with 20 of my neighborhood presidents, it is their desire to keep Ward 2 close as possible to the boundaries that we had before. So we would like to keep all of our existing neighborhoods from the original map, including the Queens, Presidential Hills, And I spoke in depth, with those, neighborhood presidents, and they would like to stay in Ward 2. So we would like to go back to our original lines, but keep the crossover, of 55, the way it is with Ashley's ward in Ward 1. So that would be our only change, is the crossover of 55.
So this area,
No, she's right, I-55,
right, no, this is the area we're taking back,
Yes.
correct? Okay. The area between I-55 and Ridgewood would
Be my only change.
be your only change.
now, do you have a population number for Ward 1 and Ward 2 in this plan as it's shown on the screen?
Yes, sir. Before we've made any changes, Ward 1 is at 22,473.
Okay,
Ward 2 is at 21,049. So
But we haven't made the change yet,
we
right?
have
Okay.
not made the change
And
yet.
so Ward 2 only lost 1% of its population. We really did not have to do any changes because we were in compliance, but, so that's why we don't want to make any changes. My Ward 2 presidents are very happy with the way Ward 2 is drawn and want to keep it very much intact. And so our only addition would be that crossover into Ward 1.
Oh, yeah. Zeros up there.
I'm getting a call about the lights. Are we able to make the lights brighter?
Yes. With that,
I think
On
they're
the
trying to see
screen?
the maps online.
Oh, the
Maps.
screen, I don't know if I can make the screen brighter.
I think the,
Yeah, we may have to break them down.
oh, lights can be dimmed
okay.
in order for online viewers to see the maps.
just show us white.
So we can commit this change. It would put you at 5.27% above deviation.
Okay, then we can go back into Ward 1 and condense.
No, that's.
That's fine?
You within
Yeah.
that 10%.
We may have to circle back around.
Okay. Okay, I'm done for now. I'll,
I had a conversation with Mr. Stokes, and we haven't been able to get him on the phone, right? But he likes this particular, area for his district. It does two things for him that he really wanted, and that was to, keep, it now reunites Bourbon Edition and Georgetown, so that they are now whole again. And those two areas came out of Ward 7, and were given to Ward 3.
Say that one more time, I think that's very important.
Reuniting, Bourbon Edition and Georgetown are possible because, Ward 7 has given up those areas for Mr. Stokes.
All right, okay.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Purcell.
Well, initially, it was my hope to gain more Northwest territory, to create this sense of community and unity amongst the board, because the way the board is drawn now, what I do north, I have to turn around and do south. I have to have 2 town halls, 2 water drives, like just 2 everything. But so that we can get this done, if you want to return me back to where I initially was, I'm fine. I got great communities out there. They deserve good leadership. Not to say that anybody else can't do what I do, but we have good relationships, and so for the sake of time and for the sake of us getting this done, you can return me to where I was.
Hold on.
Go back to your
Go
original
back to your
lines.
original, because we did get rid of some of our split precincts.
Well, so that would be the concern.
Yeah.
You can figure out the split precincts between 4 and 6.
Madam President, that's a question.
Yes, sir, Mr.
It's something that I just don't understand, and and I wanna make sure that I understand as best I can. The, we had a discussion in one of the council meetings, I think it was. My question was, who determines the precincts? And I was under the impression, I left with the impression that we make the decisions on the wards, and then it goes to whoever the next election commissioners or somebody else. And they take the wards and set up precincts. So can't they set up the precincts so that there aren't any split precincts?
So,
Can't they do
I
that?
believe
so
that.
a lot of times what we do is, we, on the back end, fix precincts that get split because naturally, just the natural progression of redistricting creates splits.
Yeah.
And so, on the back end, once you adopt and agree on a plan
For the wards.
for the wards,
Okay.
then whoever handles, whether it's election commission or whoever handles your voting for your city, we can sit down with them and fix those because, precincts are different than wards in that they're not driven by equal population. They're driven by capacity
And
or
access.
facility and distance, driving distance, and a lot of other factors that are not really demographic.
Okay,
So precincts can be revised following the adoption of the ordinance.
okay, but that would be, it's not done by the council, that would be done by.
Not typically, not typically.
So back to me, please.
I'm sorry. I'm
Can
sorry.
you do make the other changes before you move this one back?
Okay. So undo that one.
Oh, undo that.
To,
Yeah.
And then go through some of the others.
Uh-huh.
I think that's it. That is the last change.
while they're doing that, Mr., I want to just
Yeah,
wrap back around
that-
to Mr. Foots.
That is the only change that would be undone in this. Yeah, that
Hold
is.
on. So that still puts me within the
I
deviation?
think so. I mean, but
Can you
Right
zoom
now,
out a little bit?
right now, you're on the edge of
On
it.
the edge, can you zoom out a little bit, please?
Yes, sir. So right now, your northern area is back like it was. The only difference is that this one piece here and this neighborhood.
We can circle back after you get done with six.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and
All right.
this area right here as well.
Finished, you're done? Okay.
Well, no, that's not.
Yeah, what's the result of the population?
I'm within the deviation, but.
You just got less.
Right.
It's right on the edge of it.
Right on the edge, okay.
We need to see what happens with Aaron.
All right, and before we move on, I want to just wrap back around, the city attorney pointed out to me that there was actually a second ordinance. Would you explain that to us?
Sure, so when the city redistricted previously, after setting the ward lines, the city council along with the municipal election commission got together and looked at the new ward lines, examined where the precincts fell, and actually passed a second ordinance that moved some precincts and changed them as appropriate, based on the new ward lines. So that is something that can be looked at, and done once the ward.
And I do want to throw out one thing, hey, you have to adopt an ordinance for the legal description. That will have to be done as well for all the precincts that have changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the other complicated part about it last time was after, at that time, I can't remember her name, but the former circuit clerk, after she finished, the problem was there was not, because the Peggy House in Calhoun building was not there. All we had was Far City United Methodist Church. And so we had to actually go into the community and negotiate with like Christ Tabernacle Church and say, would you be a precinct? And, you know, some would be like, well, if you want us to be a precinct, $1,500. And I'm telling you, and, you know, the city will only pay, I believe it's $750, you know, on election day, but they wanted money for the access. So that was the part where the council got involved in actually going out and meeting with those community center, our churches, to say, would you, or meet with the superintendent. But I think a lot would change, especially in South Jackson, since a lot of those schools have now closed, which were precincts. So we're gonna have to engage churches, community centers, regardless.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank
All right, Mr. Hartley, moving on to Ward 5.
Okay, Ward 5, Ward 5 is a very historic area. Our biggest employee is Jackson State University. But before I get into that, if you allow me, I'd like to just make one note here. And that is, the purpose of redistricting is balancing and equalizing the number of people. True. But it also takes into account, this from my research, factors like racial diversity, I'm just reading verbatim, historic neighborhoods, community of interest. These are people who share common social, cultural, racial, economic, or geographical concerns, and are likely to have similar legislative interests. What I have here is in Ward 5, we have had the largest loss of all the wards from the period of 2010 to 2020. So therefore, we must expand. The question is, where do we expand? And several things that I would like to come out of this proceeding, I'd like my colleagues to consider. One is, we can pick up South Jackson. We can pick up, I would love to have our Capitol Street corridor extended all the way out to I-20, 220. Because,
Not too.
220, at the northern boundary. And that is because, we have.
Was South driving out of it?
No. It's just up Capitol Street. Capitol Street on both sides. And because we work on projects from the zoo all the way down to Prentice Street, all the way down to Capitol, and we're trying to develop that area. So that's a consideration, is to have that extended. Again, there are populated areas all around me that can be incorporated. But also taking into these other factors, to our east, I think he's showing the Capitol Street there. To our east, I like the council to consider expanding that area. And you might say, well, there's not a huge population base down there. Well, we will be going into pulling together the Poindexter community neighborhood to the east. I think that's in Councilman Stokes' ward. And also expanding across Gallatin into downtown and down to the Jackson State, corner of Jackson State building. And that's important because Jackson State is the largest employer in Ward 5. We want to make sure that we speak with that legislative voice and the same legislative voice, and we can support Jackson State University. In addition, Jackson State has from what I've been told, has recently purchased a hotel where it will be housing hundreds of students downtown. So our population would increase there. Also, the Ferris Street, again, I say historically, Ward 5 is one of the most historic areas that I feel in the city. We have the Coco building, we have Jackson State, we have the 100-year-old zoo, we have now Bobby Rush Boulevard, we have an assortment, we have civil rights markers throughout our ward. So historically speaking, we'd like to acquire the Ferris Street area as well. Again, the addition of Jackson State students, increasing the population downtown, with the campus being downtown, we feel is of legislative interest, economic interest, geographical interest, that we expand downtown as a portion of Jackson State expansion efforts. The other areas, South Jackson, are plenty of expansion opportunities. Thank you, Councilman Banks' area. He had notated that, hey, there's some houses, there's some areas there that we could move from the east to the western side of those lines there along Raymond Road. There's plenty of population, there's plenty of areas, but as he just stated, you know, we have some school closings, we have some population decreases, there are some stable neighborhoods. And to be frank with you, when you have the highest poverty area, when you have, there's a lot of moving pieces, there's a lot of work to be done. And there's no, you know, like I said, this is from 2010 to 2020. When you have these high impoverished areas, then we have to depend on city resources. There's complaints and constituent concerns. As we move further into some of the decaying areas, that those problems are compounded. And I'm not opposed to any, to that type of expansion. However, we have to fix our city, we have to clean up the abandoned properties, we have to pick up the open dumps, we have to fix our potholes, we gotta clean up the sides of the road, we got to do everything so that we don't lose our population. So again, my priorities, and I ask patience with the council in considering this. So our Jackson State University expansion, historic university. People all around this table have been products of Jackson State. I ask for that expansion downtown as we expand our campus, as we put people downtown, and also the tying in with Fair Street. Secondly, I ask for the continual movement down the Capitol Street area. Right now, we're limited to Parkside, on the western side of the zoo. As we move down to 220, it's just logical for us to keep cleaning up that whole corridor to make that gateway into Jackson more presentable. And right now, you have on one side of the street, you have Councilman Stokes, on the other side, you have my ward. We get together, we work together fine, but it would be, to me, just to have a contiguous landscape there as a, you know, as a, in regards to the ward lines. Again, that's where Ward 5 is at. That is our case, and that's what we're looking forward to voting for.
Okay, so Mr. Hartley, where are you on changing the lines? Or do you want to make any changes to this, to option card?
Yeah, the Capitol Street.
I'd like to pull up the Capitol Street corridor. Down to 220, just Capitol Street.
Everything south of Capitol, basically.
Yeah.
You wanna, go in or?
Again, I'm more interested in, especially the north side of the road. You can take that part off. The north side of the road, those, state streets, you know, Virginia and, all the different state streets on the north side.
This area you would,
Yes,
okay,
that area.
So you want that in your district? Right now it's in,
Yes, yes, just that.
oh, not, okay. Yes.
Again, one of the reasons is so that we can, make a better presentation.
You can't do that. You'll have to make a
Yeah,
decision.
take all of that.
take all of that.
Take all
Okay,
of
take all of it.
So really everything south of fortification?
that. Just take off all of that, okay? Because if the numbers are getting to a point, you know, my main objective is to clean up that area along Capitol Street. And if it's not going to provide the right balance, then we'll find other ways to do it.
So that would bring you to 0.74% deviation. However, it would take Ward 3 to -4.36.
But
Okay.
that may.
That's still in
It
compliance.
may work out.
Okay, and going to the east, down to the east of the ward, into downtown. Okay. What we, looking at Jackson State campus there,
Where's that hotel you were talking about on that? It's got Jackson State's using as a dorm, where's that?
I think that's,
If you could use your pointer, it might
It's a
help.
midstream. It's the old Marriott.
Yeah, they haven't gotten to where they need
I
to
think
be.
I shall.
Yeah, they hadn't gotten there yet.
again, these, as we envision the future, this is the direction we'd like to go. Jackson State is clearly looking at developing, perhaps even building a stadium between downtown and the campus. And this is a logical progression. This is within their plans, their long-term plans. And right now, we're putting money into downtown with the campus. We're looking at putting students downtown with the campus. And we think it's important to occupy, to have a portion of that. Again, not heavily populated right now.
Okay.
Our plans are to increase the population.
Can you show us specifically which areas, in addition to what's there now, what areas? are
Primarily,
specifically
I'm looking at
If you could use your pointer.
Lamar, or Ferris Street, and Pearl Street.
So, down to like Pascagoula or to Pearl, down to Pearl. So that area right there, that's correct.
Okay, East Pearl, yes. That's where,
So it
the
would be
corner of
Pearl and Lamar.
Ferris and Lamar. Ferris and, Pearl. And that area is the Jackson State campus area.
So that area.
Again, that's what we're looking at. And those are the most important things in addition to Ferris Street.
Okay, you said first Lamar and then you said Ferris, so I wanna make sure, do you want this area between Lamar and Ferris Street?
How are our numbers?
Those are zeros, because it's not possible. Oh, yeah, no, those two are, but there is one that's 128.
That puts you at 1.69 and Ward 7 at -3.35.
The numbers are good,
Okay.
but we were just asking, do you want those two zero blocks?
Leave to Lamar.
Yes, but, in deference to the, or in,
It would make the lines clean, as, we try to keep lines clean. as
I
we
understand, but also, I've had discussions with the councilwoman from that area,
Okay.
and
can. Okay, we
she'd
can
like
look
to
that up.
retain as much
Yeah,
property there as possible.
Okay.
And so, we want to take, we want to be able to work with that and to get what is essentially, it's a start, essentially, we're trying to accomplish.
So that's what the change made there.
Okay,
And it is within the deviation,
Yes, sir, for sure.
and it doesn't impact other wards.
Three a little bit.
3 a little bit.
Three probably would, yeah, right now,
Still have to.
Right now, we could actually, think
it's under 5%.
okay, we can move on if we need to circle back.
Just one other thing, you mentioned squaring it off. And I'm sure there will be other discussions, and I'm sure my colleagues will be chiming in, but yeah, let's just go ahead and square it off at that point.
Again, that didn't make any change to numbers.
We certainly can readdress as we come back on everybody's.
Absolutely.
If you could go all the way out, so I could just get a total picture of that South Jackson.
Are you finished, Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Banks, we're now moving on.
Okay,
Are you ready? Or did you have questions about?
no, I'm ready, to accomplish, because at the end of the day, this is about, I wanted to kind of make sure we could define our wards. For example, like, you got Ward 5 on this side, Ward 5 on this side. I believe this is Wisteria right here. And on one side of Wisteria is 5, the other side of Wisteria is 6. Yeah, that's Wisteria right there, 5, 6, so it's a community divided. You know, McDowell Road Extension is, you know, somewhat of a divider line. I wanted to look at making this community whole, but if that is not feasible, then okay. I think we have several split precincts. Go up. I think I have the most split precincts around. If you could go up, just kind of get the whole picture of my ward, of Ward 6. Right here, where it looks like, you know, this is 6, but then it looks like somebody just bit and got Sunkist area, the Candy Creek area community, you know, you got Mr. Cole on this side, you got Gloucester on this side, you got the inside of Forest Hill and the outside of Forest Hill, that's in 2 different wards. So my thing was to try to make communities whole, and to also ensure that we don't gerrymander ourselves with rich people versus poor people, or interrace gerrymandering. And so, I am I'm at 21,002. If I was to just take this right here,
Yes, up to Raymond Road.
yes, just kind of square that out. As a matter of fact, this is Ramada Circle. Yep. If we were to go all the way to Sour Road, so then Sour Road becomes a dividing line between 4 and 6. So that would first start with this right here.
I would start over.
Oh, okay, yeah, start here.
Just because you don't want to create islands.
Let's close in this Candy Creek and this Sunkist area. All right, that makes them all okay.
Yeah, you're almost 0 to go.
Yeah. Where am I at? 21,171.
Yes, sir.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
You can
Okay.
continue.
If we were to do in Ramada Circle, what does that do?
That puts you at 3.66% and Ward 4 at -4.98.
Go up some?
We're still
I mean-
technically in compliance.
Okay. And the only thing would be, if you could go over to this area, because again, my thing is to achieve whole communities and that communities aren't split. That neighbors can communicate with neighbors. And that those communities, our neighborhood associations won't be in 2 different wards. Yeah, hold before you go there. Hold before you, go back toward,
We may still have to deal with that. Right.
let's do this. community, Brazil. I believe this is the, is this the Forest Hill Place, Timber Falls? Okay, and this is where the grocery store is, right?
Yeah.
But this all, I think the creek divides on this side. And so that's the Suncrest area. And this is all that new development, right? That's good with you?
That's fine. So I think too, there's a plan to
Expand it?
build off and keep,
That is correct.
but that's, I can work.
Okay. But it basically accomplishes the goal of keeping our communities all one, and we could definitely get rid of some of the split precincts now. All right, I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if,
And the numbers are good?
Back up.
we're not asking you to do anything, but if you were to give this block and maybe this block to Ford, then that community would be made more whole.
What block is that?
This, 121, north of Forest Hill.
Zoom in. But see, there's no access. All right. So right here where Timber Falls and Forest Hill Place is, there's no access over it. Either you go Suncrest Road, go to Forest Hill Road and go around,
Right.
or you go Raymond and go Forest Hill Road. The only thing right here is the houses along Raymond, and then over here with Mr. Cole and all of see. And so Mr. Cole mostly sees himself with the neighbor across the street, you know. And so that is more so that community. There's nothing but woods.
Is
But-
that in, far, is that far?
Forest,
Far.
Timber Falls,
Down far, go back.
go up. You talking about Gloucester? No, go the other way. I'm talking about move that way. Yeah,
Where is Forest Hill?
this is Forest Hill right here
Right,
in that corner.
okay.
That's Gloucester. So it's like Raymond Road
I
becomes
see.
that dividing line.
Yeah, I see.
But then instead of Cedar Hills being split,
Right,
and then this street,
I
and
get it,
then, you know,
I get it, yeah. Okay,
everything's kind of whole now.
this is really, really good neighborhood. But I'm
I
not,
stayed right here and walked to Forest Hill.
I know, so I get it, I just want the record to be very clear. I believe this is a very good neighborhood here.
When me and my wife first got married, I stayed right here.
Okay.
Oh, Gloucester.
All right, Mr. Banks,
I'm good.
and the numbers are good, okay.
The only thing, Councilwoman Lindsay, is when they took this deal
I know.
over across, Terry Road, and for some reason just took that community, which was all one community, and just kind of divided it up, where you got one side of Sykes Road is in Ward 4, and the other side of Sykes Road is in Ward 6.
And then that's Ward 7 that's dipping in there. I mean, it's really weird.
That's what I meant, yeah, Ward 6 and Ward
Yeah,
7,
that's
yeah,
weird.
it is.
Do you wanna look at putting that in Ward 6?
I wouldn't mind, just for the sake of the community being whole.
I think that would be.
My thing
fine.
is,
I
when
mean, we do get phone calls and we try to help, but I think most folks still think.
No, they think it's
Seven
me
is
anyway.
Part of Ward 6.
yeah, they think it's me anyway.
Yeah, that's right, and we share that, but we work on it together, but it's, yeah, like right now, they have double representation, right? But I think it would make more sense to make that neighborhood whole if the numbers make sense.
Yes, if, just, yeah,
So Terry Road, west,
and that way all of Cooper, before it turns into Daniel Lake, will be in the same place.
We can do that, we'll just have to make some adjustments somewhere else.
It's,
That puts me on,
put you at 5.63%.
Well, not, it's gotta be 10% total though.
oh, 10% deviation,
Yeah, between your lights
7 is now at -6.5. So with that, Ward 7 would have to pick up population.
And you would need to give it a little bit.
It's popular.
Go up Terry Road. Go north. Mm. Okay, I'll rest right there.
Yeah, I mean, we can come back and revisit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I'll let you do it.
Okay, so we're now moving on to Ward 7. Mr. Brazil, I'm handing my Imagineering gavel to you.
Okay.
Okay, because, it's my turn and I'm,
You're gonna
but
put
not be in charge of the meeting. So thank you.
I'm gonna-
Okay, so with Ward, I want to just go back and make some comments about Ward 7. And my perspective on redistricting. But, I think it's very important for us all to remember that redistricting is not really about those of us who are sitting at the table. It is because none of us may get reelected. I mean, we may not be here. One of us could die tomorrow. It's really not about us as the individual, but it is about what the people want. And I have gotten a lot of phone calls and some emails from constituents. They did not file on the city website, but we did get some emails, got a ton of phone calls. And this is really about, for me, what the folks who are in Ward 7 want. And I think there is a strong identity with our wards, with folks who, like Ward 2, they are proud of being in Ward 2 and they want to be in Ward 2. But with the downtown area, what's interesting about downtown is that it really is a city within the city. And there is a special taxing district called the Downtown Jackson Partners, and it is a very strong and powerful group. And they are adamant that they not be legislatively divided. And then also, I've heard from a lot of folks in Ferry Street. Ferry Street has had a lot of struggles over the years, but we're beginning to see some real interest in redevelopment. We've got some projects ongoing now. The city itself is in the process of working closely with zoning to do comprehensive rezoning, make it more of a mixed-use district. There is a tremendous amount of real energy and effort that my office has been putting forth, but also that the neighborhood has been working on, and then also Downtown Jackson Partners and the Jackson Redevelopment Authority, which owns a good bit of Ferry Street. So I've heard from many of the business owners in that area, and they want to remain connected and legislatively in sync and a part of Ward 7. They do not want to be separated from the rest of the business district, the special taxing district. I talked to the property owner on Hooker Street. There's really one property owner that owns a great deal of that property. That person, nothing against Ward 5, but really wants to remain identified with Ward 7 and connected with Ward 7. That area also has some projects going on that my office has been working on as well. So with all of that, I'm fine with the changes that were made for Ward, excuse me, I'm so sorry, for Ward 3, but I would like to take the Ward 7 boundary, the western boundary, back in downtown, back to its original boundary because of what I'm hearing from my constituents.
Just in downtown?
Yes.
Is that effectively the railroad tracks?
Excuse me?
Is that the same as the railroad tracks?
It's that Gallatin. And the Universal. And I don't know if that's gonna help the numbers too much.
With this pending change, it brings Ward 7 to -2 and Ward 5 to -2.73.
Wait, say again, I couldn't hear you.
With Ward 7 would be -2.09. Ward 5 would go to -2.73.
Thank you. Those are the only changes I'd like.
So,
Mr.
Councilman Banks, you got together?
Yeah, it looks like to get this within compliance, that we have to give more to, Councilman Stokes. Because I see that deviation with him being at that -4.3. See, if you could go to Ward 3.
We, doing some quick math to update you based on this current draw, the deviation with, the highest at 5.63 and the lowest at -4.36, correct? Brings me at a deviation of 9.99.
Well, never mind.
Are you done?
No,
Are
you keep going. Yes, I'm done.
Okay, Councilman, Hartley.
Yes, my colleague, Councilwoman Lindsay. And your downtown partners, you say that they don't want any changes,
They're gonna stay legislatively intact.
okay? But economically, because legislative, that's
Well,
important.
this isn't about economics, it's about.
But legislative, that's consideration. Again, there are other factors in redistricting. Racial diversity, historic neighborhoods, community of interest, people who share common social, cultural, racial, economic, and geographical concerns. There are other considerations. My question is concerning their downtown partners. They're okay with the inclusion of Jackson State coming down and sitting on the corner and providing that commerce. But they're not okay with representation for the same folks that sit in there. They're okay with us buying a hotel downtown, but they're not okay with us having representation. So that, to me, downtown partners need to be around a table to explain why is it that it's okay to get our money, to get our interest in a city that's 80% African American, but we cannot have a seat at their table. And that's a question that I really would like to address to downtown partners. How is it that you can get away with this type of, look, once we get at the table, they don't even know us if we never even show up. There's no way that they can understand the type of representation that we can bring, the type of alliances that we can bring. There's just no way for them to know that if we never even get to the table. So my question to downtown partners, and since you have a conversation with them, is it why it's okay that we bring the money, but we can't bring the economic, we can't share in any of their roundtable discussions about the future of downtown in a city that's 80% African American. I just have a question for them, and perhaps they can respond back to them. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. All right.
Councilman.
Yes,
Okay. Is there anything else?
I want you to finish the first segment.
Plus 2.3.
Okay. But you're done. Okay. see where we are, Councilman Banks?
Yeah, I think, colleagues, that we are, I don't know if this achieves community wholeness across the whole city. I do know that some of my friends and some of your friends in the Queens, they like having 2 council members here. But, you know, again, I think that as far as communities and actual voters are concerned, we were able to achieve, you know, some differences between what happened before. I do want to say that, you know, Councilman Hardy, I hear your passion.
No, I'm not in this conversation. Go ahead.
I'm talking to you though. I do want to say, Councilman Hardy, that I hear your passion. I just want to remind us that I think we have to stay focused on, you know, making sure that we keep our communities voting. I do and have taken issue with downtown parties, especially when they force Reba out with the weekend. And I think that's another place in the conversation and time that we gotta really take that up, and everything. But with that, Mr. Brazil,
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Leslie?
I'm done, I mean, I
You're
don't,
done?
so if we can, I can take that back to you.
Okay, before we do that, CMPDD, where are we now in terms of, you know, if you just restate that, please.
Absolutely. So based on your current deviations of this plan, the lowest is -4.36. You add that with 5.63, ignoring the negative, you have 9.99% deviation. That is within compliance.
Thank you. Councilwoman Leslie?
Thank you, and thank you for taking it up, Mr. Brazil. All right, colleagues, so we're within compliance, but I want to make sure that I heard still some questions involving Ward 4 and Ward 6. Do you have anything else that y'all want to look at in that? Are y'all okay with where you're
I
at?
think we're okay.
Yeah, we're good. The only thing that concerns me is we just point one away. We're real close. I can't take anything else. If I take anything that's gonna knock everything out.
So you're good.
I'm good.
All right. Mr. Foot.
I was just to say that we were, Ms. Lee and I were talking and looking at the other map back here on the table. You can go back up to Ward 1 at the top of Ward 1.
Where 1 and 2 intersect.
Where 1 and 2 intersect. We took this piece of Ward 1 that was on the east side of I-55 and put it over in Ward 2. And I'm curious what, if you took the line, right now it comes across there at like Canton Martin. So if you raise that boundary up to,
Atkins.
say Adkins, I'm curious how many people are in that block. If you could put those back into Ward 1, I'm curious what it does to the Ward 1 and Ward 2 numbers.
Okay.
So up to here, up to Briarwood.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
put the Atkins and
Who's
see
the
what happens.
Atkins first? That's more residential.
Yeah, we could try, or we could just go to Briarwood and see how that works. I'm just.
We start at the bottom and work our way up.
Sure. Because it looks like we'll have to add a precinct and all that.
In the pump station,
So that's gonna
Yeah.
put
Yeah, but Bridgewood, but I don't know if I cross on the right.
And what about there, right there, if you stop right there?
Ward 1 is now at 7.0%.
7% over?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So that'd be-
we'll keep it
I
the
think
way
there's
it
some
is.
apartments in there, aren't there?
Right, it's not gonna be, yeah.
Apartment, that number's real.
What if you drop it down to just Reddick, where,
That's it right there, that 211.
211, right?
If you put,
Let's see that.
can you do that on Reddick Drive as the boundary?
I don't think it puts us at a good number.
Okay, 4.7. So that does not affect your deviation.
makes it,
Because the highest and the lowest wards remain
It didn't pass
Ward
those.
6 and Ward 3, so it does not affect your deviations.
we do that instead, is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Lynn?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
So Reddick,
Yes.
Still at 9.9.
Can you zoom out, see the whole?
but if you put me to Old Kent Road, then I could do something about that homeless population, under that bridge.
I mean, look, if,
You can still
You
do
can
something.
still work on it.
yeah. I mean,
We all helping each other boards anyway, you can still help with that.
if we gonna do anything else, it will be to get to, a place to deal with that 9.9.
Yeah.
But we're slightly, we're seeing,
It makes me,
Yeah.
that makes it look, because it,
9.9.
it's very
But
close.
let the councilman at Ward 6,
We could be a count off, in actuality, right now, we need
so
to
if you
make
look
it.
at Councilman Banks, he's got the high number, if he could get, maybe there's a couple of streets you could.
Yeah, really, if
Give up.
Ward 6 could just give up a little bit, or
Okay,
Ward 3,
go ahead.
Ward 3,
or Ward 3 could.
Wait, are y'all done? Did y'all get?
I think so. I'm not sure, I'm happy with it.
Y'all,
But go to Ward 3, because Councilman Stokes is still at 20. Everybody else is 21 and above. I can't see the streets.
We would be looking at adding population
To Ward 3.
to Ward 3.
Can you,
It wouldn't take a lot to make the number a little bit better.
you can go down.
go up, I see something.
Go up,
Do you still, not that way, the other way.
not that way.
Hold on.
This is resident.
That Wood Street area is not in his ward.
What?
Where's Wood Street?
It's supposed to be.
It's in, no, that was on option 2.
That
So
was on
burning dishes.
Oh, good, good. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, and I saw it without my glasses.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Well, I-
Yeah, Wood Street. Yeah, Wood, yeah.
Mr. Foot,
I'm sorry, excuse me.
yeah, look, we're looking at Ward 3
Okay.
because he's lower than the rest of us.
Uh,
And the Wood Street area, we thought was all in his ward, but that, we're just remembering that was, option 2.
Do you
Yeah.
have
And I know.
Take it to Mill Street.
Yep.
That's what he wanted.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
that's,
He got his one whole community now.
Okay, that's what he wanted. Okay, thank you, Eric.
That's what he wanted. Who remember the Wood Street place?
Really good.
Down to fortification, or?
Down to, where is the,
Yeah, because all of that is one community.
No, yeah, just, but stop it at fortification.
stop at fortification?
Right.
Okay.
Because that's where that bridge is,
It traded to 40,
goes up, under,
Yeah,
goes
that's
around.
right, that's right.
traded to 7 now.
That's it.
I just lost some really great choices. But I just,
But you know,
Think about it.
I, well, but they really helped me.
This is gonna, if we commit this change, now Ward 7 needs to pick up population because it's at -4.67.
Oh,
So either
No,
Ward
no, no.
6 needs to give
no,
up.
no, Ward 3 is 4 point. Ward 7 is minus 2%.
Now, these numbers right here.
Yeah, if we
Oh,
commit
up
this
there.
change,
I'm saying.
yes, sir.
I can make, there we go. Let me update it.
Ward, you said Ward 7 we need to pick up?
Ward 6 needs to give and Ward 7 needs to take.
I mean, I'm not telling you,
Go.
if you went back and changed that Cherry Road, that you
That we had taken in.
would, you would
that-
take,
Or if there's another,
or another area.
That Cooper Road area is what they're saying.
Oh, we put that
know very many people there.
What they do?
I have there a few, but I don't know if that's.
Well, that's good between, that it's between y'all, because you're the highest and lowest wards, so.
All right, so what does that do?
We good?
I can't see.
4.2, 5.2,
Okay.
9.47,
9.47?
9.47.
So we are away from 9.9?
You're away from 9.99.
Well, praise the Lord.
That, okay, that's. All right, colleagues, anybody else? All right, I would like to see a show of hands of who is in favor of, oh, Angelique, did you have another question?
No, I just wanted to zoom out and look at the whole map.
Okay,
It's actually more squared off than what it was.
makes more sense.
If you gotta look at the colors, yeah, there you go.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah, it's more squared off.
Mine is.
You don't have all that?
I have,
Ah.
Meanwhile, Ward.
But it's actually squared off.
It's like your report looks like a reverse. There's even a heel of the boot.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, colleagues, anybody have, Angela, okay, you said you weren't maybe 100% sure.
I mean, Brian and I still have a split precinct, but that community wants 2 council members, so I'm not gonna
Let's
fight
not touch
it,
it.
so.
All right. Yes, sir, Mr. Hartman.
Yeah, they're gonna be, after the vote, they're going to be public meetings where the public can show up and ask them.
We've had we are not required to have public hearings. It's not required by law at all. And we've already had one, and so we're on such a tight deadline, I do not anticipate doing that.
Wow.
All right, now, colleagues, I'd like to see a show of hands, just a straw poll. This is not a legal vote, this is not a legitimate vote, but I'd like to see just a straw vote, show of hands of who is okay with this particular option. Opposed? Okay. So we have a vote of 5-1. We'll get with Mr. Mr. Stokes, I'm sorry, and make sure. Yes, Ms.
Can you email us this final version so I can share with my neighborhood president?
Yes, we will provide this in a final version to members of council and the clerk for distribution.
And for clarity, this is option 6, right?
This is option 6, yes, ma'am.
All right, colleagues, I really appreciate the hard work today. I'm very grateful to you all coming out here. Councilwoman Lee?
CMPDD, I'm getting texts about the ship files, can you address that?
Shape files
The
are,
shape files,
or
sorry.
there's the GIS file underneath it. That's usually a working file that's not provided until a plan is adopted. The reason behind that is modifications can be made, different versions can be published that weren't addressed here in the open council meeting. So we tend not to share those and provide them. However, if the council wants those distributed, we provide that to you, understanding that there may generate new versions that have not been previously seen.
And people that don't have software that can use them, it'll be useless to them.
You must have GIS to run.
Yeah, it's not like a picture, it's like specialized files.
It's in an effort to be transparent, I think we would like those. I know that's what the community is asking for, but that's my opinion. Let's see what the council members say.
We're happy to provide them in a PDF
That's right, hang on just a minute, I'm sorry,
As
I was
well.
distracted.
We'll provide them in a PDF form and the digital form. That's more accessible to most people. But again, understand that a shape file is the working document, and it can be modified.
Okay, Mr. Hartley?
Yes, CMPDD, these files are the city of Jackson receiving, the GIS department receiving these files.
We
Do
will,
they share the same database with you?
we will provide them into the city's department as we did previously when, Mr. Martin and I spoke, we provided those then,
So,
the shape files.
do you know if the city currently have the up-to-date shape files?
Not,
Because they have some.
yeah, not this plan,
Not-
not currently with this plan, we're still here with it.
Okay, but the background data, not this, but the background data for the file themselves, the city has some. Because I've spoken with them, do you know if they're up to date?
I haven't spoke to them, I mean, we're using, data that's issued by the US Census, I mean, anybody can get that data,
So I don't
anybody
know
can get
what the city has in that regard, I can't speak to that. We did provide PDF and shape files where we submitted
Yeah, but mics are hot.
our invoice and our draft resolution to the council.
Thank you,
I don't know who distributed those, but those were provided.
thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and I'm sorry. Well, when you provide us with this information, can you also provide us with the streets?
a list of streets. I can provide you with the streets, yes, but just keep in mind that there's gonna be some streets that are lit, and it's hard for me to be able to give those streets that
I
are
get it.
lit. So you can have a list of streets, but it might not be that as useful as you think.
Yeah, because like Mr. Banks and I shared the yellow line, Terry, for example. I get it. I get it. All right, colleagues, is there anything else to come before this body today? Hearing none. Yes, Mr. Banks?
Just hearing the concerns and, is it possible that any of this information may be incorrect?
So we are given census data that is provided by US Census.
Right.
The amount of accuracy is on them. You know, we can't verify that they are correct or that they're not correct.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we've seen places where it's questionable in other counties and cities. Generally, the US Census opinion is, if we bring that to their attention, is okay.
But,
Mr. Cook?
just follow. In the case of point, during the verification process that is done by the county clerk, if he does find those areas, errors and everything, then I guess his process would be to file with you.
So technically, the city could challenge the census with the census. We have assisted in those challenges in the past
Okay.
where population was missed or there is representation of population in a block where there is no population on the ground. And the census made no effort to resolve those issues. They said, thank you for your challenge.
They said, thank you for your challenge.
Thank you for your challenge, and we're taking no action upon it.
Yeah, so I think that I'm not an expert on what they do and what they have adopted, what they say is accurate. I'm not an expert on that because I don't work for them. My understanding is that once the census is conducted, it's been adopted by legislation. And so at that point, it becomes fact whether it's true or not, you know, according to the accuracy of it. I think that they can't make changes without legislative, like US legislative action.
So that being said, you certainly are welcome to attempt to challenge the census data if you find errors. We have been unsuccessful in the past in challenging, like, for example, the dorms at MC were missed in 2010. And they said, okay, thank you for your challenge, we're not changing it.
Yeah,
So,
we've seen other.
I mean, it's pretty blatant errors that,
It's probably not as bad for Jackson as it would be for a rural area, because especially with this go around, it was all voluntary, you know, because of COVID and everything. I feel like Jackson probably is more connected than like a rural area would be, but
again, to the accuracy of the data,
We can't speak to that.
it's US Census data. If you want to challenge that, there is a formal process through census that you can make those challenges.
Nah,
Thank you.
I don't think we want to do
yeah,
that.
it's a big deal. Yeah, and then you wouldn't.
Thank you.
It would,
Thank you for your hobby, Mr. Banks. Okay, thank you. All right, so, Mr. Wood,
Yep, so my question is, to make sure I understand this, that our requirement is to redistrict based on the 2020 census, regardless even if the population may have changed since then.
Yes.
Correct,
Yes,
Just use the 2020 numbers, and that's what we have to follow. Okay,
correct.
yes.
thank you.
All right, colleagues, anything else to come before this body at this time? All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. And thank you, CMP.
Yes.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I